Hi, listeners. We want to tell you about a podcast we're really digging. It's called Christopher Kimball's Milk Street Radio. Every week, they travel the world to find the most fascinating stories about food, including children who harvest cod tongues after school in Norway and a detective who tracks down food thieves. And on Milk Street Radio, you can always find the unexpected. The comedian who ranks apples using an elaborate 100-point system, the secret history of grocery stores, and how to eat your way through Italy. They also interview the most beloved names in food like Jacques Pepin, Sola Aweli, Jose Andres, Jet Tila, Ina Garten, Nigella Lawson, and Padma Lakshmi. Plus, co-hosts Christopher Kimball and Sarah Moulton do live calls with listeners and answer their questions about ingredients, techniques, and culinary mysteries. Like, why roasting a leg of lamb made one caller's oven explode? Ever wonder why your bread won't rise or your souffle falls flat? Chris and Sarah have the answers. You'll also hear from a rotating cast of contributors, including Kenji Lopez-Alt, Cheryl Day, Dan Pashman from The Sporkful, and Alex Ainuz, a French guy cooking from YouTube. Take a listen at 177milkstreet.com/radio or just search your podcast app for Milk Street Radio.
I'm Lou Bank.
And I'm Greg Benson.
And this is an ad for Ancestral Agave Syrup, the critically acclaimed award-winning syrup that helps gringo bartenders better make margaritas, Negronis,
Lou, hold up. Wait,
old
are you just...
fashions?
This is how you start your podcast.
What?
It's not an ad for Ancestral Agave Syrup.
Well, of course it is. I'm just cutting costs by not paying writers to make something new. I'm just using an old script.
You pay writers?
Is that some kind of jab?
No, I'm just saying that...
What are you saying?
Well, look, we've got this amazing syrup that's made in an ancestral manner, cooked down from the sap of the agave, harvested the way these families would to make pulque. It's a quality product. It deserves a quality presentation.
Yeah, okay, hang on. Ancestral agave syrup is made by real families following traditional methods. Unlike the industrial Blue Weber syrup you get everywhere else, Ancestral is cooked down from agua miel, harvested from Salmiana in Hidalgo, Mexico. It is the grade A Vermont maple to the sticky diner syrup you've been using for your cocktails. Ingredients matter, both in how your cocktail tastes and how you treat the earth. Ancestral is better for both. Is that good?
Sure. Or maybe confusing instead of cheesy. Look, just visit ancestralagave.com to learn more and to order your world-class agave syrup today.
And we'll call that a wrap. Catch you next ad, Greg.
Hasta pronto?
Ancestral Agave Syrup. Available online at ancestralagave.org and wherever Greg and Lou are able to coerce store owners into carrying it.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil runs his groove in them rhythm and blues accent. It's gonna get you sun in the air.
Welcome back to The Speakeasy. I'm Damon Boelte.
I'm Sother Teague.
And I'm Greg Benson. And guys, we missed a news item last week. I know that we record our show a couple days before it airs, and that doesn't often bite us in the ass because we're not really a breaking news program. But last week, there was some major news that came out between Wednesday when we recorded and Friday when this airs. And
it came out on Wednesday. It just came out after we recorded.
Yes. Well, I'm actually referring both to the fact that the Tales Awards came out last week after we recorded, and the former president is now a convicted felon, which
that's right. 34 counts.
Lots to celebrate.
34 counts.
Sother, your bar did something for that, right? Didn't you do something at the new spot you're working at?
I don't think we did anything special. We just were very happy about what happened.
I mean, I certainly was. I don't know. I did something special. I ran through my kind of Trumpy neighborhood playing the Clash's "I Fought the Law and the Law Won" on a constant repeat on my portable speaker. Got a lot of glares, but I got one high five from a real Karen-y looking woman that I did not expect to be on my side. So that was nice. You know, books and covers, man. You can't judge them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this isn't a political show. We all have our own angles on politics. My takeaway is that it's the right thing for law, right? It may or may not be damaging for the country to have a president that's now a felon, to have an ex-president that's now a felon, but it's the right thing to show that no one's above the law in this country, and that's kind of a founding tenet of what we got going here. So
I agree, but I would also add that it would be damaging for this country to have a convicted felon as a president, particularly this convicted felon, and I think we can say that on this podcast. I think that is just an objective truth. And if you want to tie yourself in all sorts of mental gymnastic pretzels to justify why this is a good thing, then just examine the fact that, look back at your history of supporting the Law and Order Party and respecting the rule of law, and just think about how you got to that conclusion for a second. I would just invite you to do that if that's something you think about as a listener of this show. And that's where you're at. But I don't think we have that many MAGA listeners on the show. If we ever did, they left after all of the things I've said into a live mic.
After the second episode, probably.
But also we missed congratulating some friends of ours who were on the Tales of the Cocktail long list for this year's awards. A lot of familiar names to the show because we're very popular. And a lot of deserved nods. The only one that's coming to mind off the top of my head, because it's been a week now since I looked at the list, but my friend Mandy Neglich, who's been on the show, her book How to Taste got longlisted for a book award. So congratulations to her. Anybody else you guys want to shout out in particular?
I'm stoked for Izzy over at Milady's being put up there. A new Opte, an old friend who's up there now for best mentor. Kate Gerwin, been on the show many times, a good friend of ours as well. Like, come on, the list it's the long list, so there's a long list. Now everybody's, of course, waiting with the bated anticipation for that list to get slashed down to 4 before, of course, we go to the big dance at Tales of the Cocktail down in New Orleans. And we're far enough out right now. I for sure am going. I've got a couple of gigs already. Are you fellas going to be down there this year?
Yeah, I'm actually.
I know we're not on the list this year for the first time in a million.
For the first time in many years, because we won last year. Yay!
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, like hope springs eternal. I did see that Bartender at Large, Eric Castro's show, is on the list this year, and it's 5 years after he won. So it's a 5-year hiatus. Once you've won, you can't be on the list for 5 years. So he got right back on there. So we can do the same. We only got 4 years to go, guys. Yeah. It's flying by.
We just got to stay relevant for another 4 years, right? Guys.
4 more years.
But seriously, though.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a good segue for this, but I mostly want to bring in our guest today because they were showing us something super cool right before we turned the cameras on and the recorders on here. Michael Aredes live from Mexico City. Thank you so much for joining us. Could you hold that bottle up to the camera again for us and talk about what it is exactly?
Absolutely. So I'm here right now for Campari's first ever Mexico bartender competition. There are 10 finalists from all across Mexico. I got brought in to be one of the people that kind of gives them the feedback and makes a decision for them. They all gave us a welcome gift.
That's a judge. That's called a judge.
Hey,
you and Juan Marshall, you're in the same category.
So they gave us these cool bottles with our names printed on them where Campari should be. That's a very incredible. Personal gift. It's really fucking awesome. It's the first time I've ever gotten something like this. It's a really
is there something in the? I can't read the fine print because technology isn't there yet. Is there something on the fine print?
It's the normal bottle,
the normal label, but it
that
just says your name
bitter
in the right font. That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, and then it's just the bottle from Mexico, so it has all the little fun things on here. It's super unique, cool thing.
Chug.
Really
No, don't chug it. Well, that bottle has to be reserved for specifically, some, I don't know, mezcal Negronis, I guess, since you've got it in Mexico.
Hey,
right?
Man.
And then you can, put flowers in it or something. Well, we're stoked to have you on. Thanks for, chiming in all the way from Mexico City. You just flew down there yesterday, right?
Yes, I left work on Tuesday, went home, packed my bag, went straight to the airport.
Right, a last minute opportunity that you jumped right on. That's pretty cool because we normally record the show yesterday, but you had to postpone until today. So we're stoked to get you on.
Yeah, thankful,
and
super
talk
thankful.
to you about all manner of things. Let's kick it off first with like what is it you do right now? I mean, you know, I know, but let's inform the listener. What's your day to day?
So currently, I'm working at Superbueno, Mexican American cocktail bar in the East Village. Just turned a year old.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, no one's heard of it. Right? It's only a year old, so no one's
never. Part of the opening team, we were just named number 2 on North America's 50 best bars, and we are also on the long list for top 10 best new cocktail bar for Tales of the Cocktail Spirit Awards.
Yeah, incredible. I would like to at least address the notion that as a bar that landed on 50 best at number 2, which is the highest. You took highest landing, first time landing on the list. I don't know what they called it, right?
Ever on any list,
right? But you took every year they say who is their first time on the list, and there's a few of them obviously every year, but then there's the one that's the highest. The highest one. No one can beat you unless they land on the list at number 1.
Yeah, which would be wild. None of us, and I can tell you, I didn't anticipate it. None of us anticipated that. It was a big shock to see, and it's a really cool thing. And I think setting a precedent like that is wonderful and kind of scary, but also it fuels us so much more. We've been just doing what we do, and it's showed, and I'm very grateful.
I mean, the fun thing about 50 Best is they tell you because they want you to come to to the awards, but they tell you you're on the list. They don't tell you where. So you had to sit there the whole time and be like, okay, we're going to be number 50. Oh, we're not. Okay, we'll be 49 all the way down. Like, at what point were you like, oh my God, we're inside the top 5? Or did they lie to us? Did they forget us? Did we're omission?
That was a thought. We were all our GM was at the event and Nacho was at the bar. We were having a big party with multiple bars that were on the list that were not there with us. We were pretty much the only bar doing a viewing party.
Yeah, you had a screen down.
We screened it at the bar. And we had everyone watching and celebrating. And I'm just there, like my hands on my face. I had a number in my head. We passed that number. We continued to pass numbers. And I was just sitting there like, I don't know what the fuck is happening here. And
do you want to share what the number you had in your head was?
I personally thought number 14. I thought we were going to end up, honestly, I felt like we were going to end up high. Not to say that I think that highly of us. I just feel like we are having so much fun. We are enjoying what we're doing. I could say that our hospitality is very fucking incredible that we do. We're silly and fun and make people feel at home. Like I greet people saying welcome home regularly. I felt like that kind of showed and I just had a good feeling about it. Like I believe Nacho was thinking 20, somewhere in the 30s. Our GM was thinking somewhere in the 20s. We all had different thoughts and feelings. A lot of feedback from friends were like, you guys are going to be number 1, like just random industry friends. I'm like, none of us felt or thought that, but it was cool to see what happened. Still very unbelievable sitting here thinking about it from day one, feeling like we're starting this space. It feels really awesome to now still. So cool. Yeah.
Well, and then now just a few short weeks later, you're down in Mexico doing this thing with Campari. So the opportunities are going to come flooding in. Get ready.
I'm very thankful, honestly. It's really nice to be a part of a team that has done that, and then it's cool to see what follows. It's really a blessing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Have you seen an uptick in business at Superbueno? I mean, it's already pretty jamming all the time.
Immediately. So we had started accepting reservations because we were trying to up business prior. From 4 to 10 every single day and weekends 2 to 10, just so we could, on the earlier end of the day, we were able to have a consistent flow of business. I was there Tuesday night for the viewing party. I was there Wednesday opening the bar. From the jump, we saw a 35% increase on our sales from the previous Wednesday, and it has stayed consistent. Thankfully, it's a really cool thing, but it's definitely shown. And we've seen the guests kind of come in and share their excitement with wanting to be with us and getting to experience what brought us there, and also demonstrate to them maybe their preconception of what they think a bar looks like at number 2 versus what it actually is. shows kind of what people are valuing currently in the industry of the market.
No, I've been wanting to come in and visit y'all for a while, and I finally made plans with a friend who's in town who's also a big cocktail geek to go out there. And I think the 50 best list came out like a couple days before. I just remember seeing that being like, wow, good for them. But also, damn it, there's no way we're going to get a spot at the bar now.
So we are not first come first serve at the bar always, every single day. We start a wait list, but please, like, don't be afraid. It's a conception that we get often these days. I'm like, don't be afraid. We don't take reservations the whole day. We will, we will do our best to take care of you, and we will host you. We want to. Please, nobody be afraid.
And I did get in, and it was lovely. Everybody there was great. Food was great. Drinks were great. Loved the Huitlacoche margarita. That was
so good.
It's not a flavor that I normally enjoy, actually. So I got it. I mean, anytime I see something like that on a menu where I'm like, well, that's fucking weird. So of course I have to try it. But like, it was the first time I'd really kind of enjoyed the presentation of something that like umami. So good job. You made a believer out of me.
Yeah.
We have Nacho and Kip doing some great stuff with the menu right now. I'm excited. It's cool to see what we have some stuff coming. My first drink for our menu is coming in shortly once we redesign the format. So I'm very excited to see it continue to grow.
Tell us a little bit about that drink, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into this industry in the first place? Give us your hero's journey.
So for me, that drink, it's going to be a coffee-based cocktail. We had a hot drink on a hot coffee drink, and the time moved forward from hot drinks. So that drink, when it hits the menu, is going to be brown butter wash tequila, forbidden rice horchata, toasted coconut, coffee, and a little bit of saline. Like a long drink, super delicious. Going to be just taking the waste of my toasted coconut syrup as well, toasting it and putting it on top of the drink. So I'm like using everything that I have used for the drink. And taking the butter as well. I'm going to try and make us some cookies that we can serve with the drink as well. That's kind of my plan. We're going to see if we can execute that, but we'll see. My hero's journey. So I've wanted to work in hospitality since I was 6 years old. I can point to the moment exactly of when I had made, no, sincerely. So when I made that decision, I was at a Denny's with my family on a holiday. We were in 8 Top, so we were a lot.
Is this a hero origin story or a villain origin story?
Yeah.
It depends on how you look at it. Every hero is someone's villain and vice versa. So we can paint the perception as you need. I was watching the service happen, and I'm just seeing how loud it is and how there's so much laughter and people smiling and the servers just enjoying themselves. And I pointed to, it was a female server, beautiful woman, really kind. And I was like, Mom, I want to do that. And she's like, what's that? I'm like, that. She's like, I point to the server. She's like, you want to work in a restaurant? I'm like, yeah. She's like, why would you want to do that? And I was like, look how happy everyone is. Sincerely. Like, it's for me, I've always wanted to take care of people in some way. And every job I've had has been working with people pretty directly. And it's kind of taken me to here where I'm actually doing what I want to do. Being behind the bar became the step that I wanted to take for a lot of other personal reasons. But we get such a unique opportunity to take care of people in every single moment of their life. We don't know if it's something they're struggling with, something they're celebrating, or something they're just needing to fulfill that natural human need of community and being fed. And building memories around those moments and being able to take care of them and bring them into your space is invaluable. And I love it. I think it's a really cool thing. And that's kind of what's brought me to where I am now. I continue to pursue my education in coffee, in deeper hospitality, in beverage, like working through so many different places. Here, a lot of people didn't know the places I worked. I didn't find in purpose. Like, I worked at Cosme, I worked at Night Moves, I did the Lioness pop-up in New York. I've worked with a lot of people with a lot of notoriety, and I've learned so much from everybody to get me to where I am now, getting to do the things I'm doing now. And it's a super cool thing.
Michael, I had a thought the other day that I wanted to share with you. You just inspired me to share this thought. I was on my way to a bar. Go figure. But I was like,
are you? What?
Yeah. And I was like, man, I kind of drink a lot. Another thought, go figure. But I was like, am I addicted to alcohol? Surely. But I was like, what am I actually addicted to? I was like, I'm addicted. I could drink at home way easier than going out. I was like, I'm addicted to bars. And I was like, that was like, I was like, finally, for some reason, after like, I'm turning a certain number of years, on this Saturday, it's my birthday.
Twinsmas.
But I was like
23.
It's Twinsmas. Yeah. I had 20 years of that. So I was like, man, I'm addicted to bars. And, I could go to a bar and drink a non-alcoholic beer or a mocktail or whatever and still have the same experience. I'm just like, I'm addicted to people, and just like seeing people in that moment where they're having that great time, and it like kind of like time stands still, for a moment. And like, so I love that you shared that story about going to Denny's and like seeing just like people being happy, and that it actually kind of made me a little emotional when you said that.
It's really, very real.
Really
this
sweet.
is like my genuine experience.
Yeah.
There's also a short story that I read in high school. It's kind of a little dark, and it's definitely a sign of the times, written by Raymond Carver, called A Small Good Thing, kind of looking at both sides of being in hospitality. Effectively, it starts and ends in a bakery. A lot happens with this family that has gone to this bakery in between the time they went and the time they return. I don't want to go too much into that. You can see the person at the bakery is very unhappy because of whatever reason, and the person that going through their life is very much struggling. But what the baker realizes at the end, and they come in, it's like, I am literally here to help you celebrate the smallest moments. And right now, what I need to do is what I'm naturally good at, is bringing you into my space and making you feel full and comfortable because you haven't taken care of yourself. They go back into the back room and start eating breads and pastries, and they start to feel full and whole. It's really a testament to like taking care of yourself in that way, and being able to care for other people can literally change your outlook from being in the worst moment of your life to being something where you can continue to heal and grow. So it's a short story I recommend everybody read. Again, it's dark. A Small Good Thing by Raymond Carver. It's on the internet for free. Really, really great, and really gives people my view of hospitality on all ends, seeing us all as people that are going through life.
Well, and that kind of goes back to something that you were saying earlier about how you say like welcome home to people who come in. I mean, so much of what we do is creating that sense of belonging for people, and that's a nice segue into the other project that you're working on right now.
Yeah, this is what I want to
tell us a little bit about that.
So I am personally working on building out my own pop-up series that will eventually lead to a space. It is called Noche Traviesa. It means night of trouble. I am both queer and Chicano. Yeah. I am both queer and Chicano. So it's Noche Traviesa is a queer Latin safe space that will work with our partners to feature Latin queer bartenders all across the diaspora, presenting themselves within a cocktail space while creating a big fun party where people feel safe and comfortable. We've had drag performers at every event. I'm starting to like build out further. I'm featuring other Latin creators, not necessarily queer, but can be queer. We had Cultures New York at my event in Chicago. They flew out with me from New York, rather separately, but we came together at the end of the day, and they shared their wear, which is like hats, and they're doing pins and things like that are focused on being Latino and being in the industry, and developing cocktails that are how I view the world and how I think things should be, which is dumb and not unpretentious and ridiculous, but also kind of using the skills that I have to make some fun things. Like the cocktail I shared with you guys is a really dumb one. Food Anarchy pizza, a cold pineapple pizza cocktail.
Hell
really delicious and stupid.
Nice.
And a really fun milk punch. But yeah, I've kind of been a person that's kind of lived in the middle of a lot of things, like being queer, being Latino. We don't have a lot of, in this industry and in life, a lot of opportunities aren't taken to highlight those communities. Anyone who is not of a community that doesn't get the spotlight always kind of has to fight for it. So I was like, well, I am thankful to have a platform that I have based on me having been like named punch bartender in residence and all these things that I've been able to kind of use to kind of build out a space for others. And yeah, but it's been super successful. Seeing it grow. I have brands reaching out to me now, which is really nice and cool to see, to make this like bigger and hopefully lead to my brick and mortar space in a city somewhere in this country or here in Mexico. We'll see.
That's amazing. And that does kind of get weirdly back to what we were talking about at the top of the show, because I mean, we're not technically a politics podcast, but everything is political. And that means food is political. Drinks are political. Yes. Bars are political. Like the American Revolution would not have happened without taverns. And that's a whole other podcast. You can have me on as the guest and I can talk about it for like 2.5 hours. I hate to be the center of attention, but I'll make the sacrifice for our listeners. But
please.
But I want to ask, there's been over the past, let's call it 2 years, such a backlash against queer spaces in a way that I think a lot of, I personally as a I personally, as a guy who gets to walk through the world as a straight dude, have noticed this, but a lot of my queer friends have been saying too, like, yeah, we got a little, like, I don't want to say complacent, but we sort of were like, oh yeah, we're accepted. And then all of a sudden there's this huge backlash. There is that big right-wing cancel campaign against Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney last year. What has that, you said you're getting interest from brands, which is really, really nice to hear, because I know a lot of them are super gun shy about Pride last year. What has that been like to kind of navigate those waters for you?
I think it's very interesting because I think that it's like where you're not just investing in like a brand necessarily, you're investing in a person and kind of what that represents and what it can represent. So kind of like, I know in a business aspect that kind of goes that way. I think that's also for me, I think if you look at the connections that I've built and things like that, people are not unafraid of supporting. I know on a larger level, it's a different story, but like on a local level, and that's where it starts and it grows out from there. I'm being supported and we are being supported because they see that this is literally something that we need. And this is, in my own way, a small act of rebellion. Like if you want to try and make our spaces limited, if you want to try and make us feel unsafe, you want to do all this, then well, screw all of that. I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it big and I'm going to make a lot of noise. And we're going to build out this space in this community to feel stronger and feel more vocal as a human as well. I just operate in a stance that I need to empower everyone as much as they can to stop beating down on themselves and kind of use the voice that they have and the confidence that they have, because everyone brings such a unique like thing to whatever they're doing. But going back to what you were saying, just even with like a larger view of corporations necessarily wanting to be wishy-washy, I think that a lot of people are a lot more unafraid on a lower level, and that's where we can make the change so that on a larger level it becomes a little more acceptable and less of a risk to invest in those kinds of things.
Yeah. Let's also point out that I think that, I've worked in the spirits industry and the wine industry, and I can tell you that the spirits industry is much more fun than the wine industry, but they're both collectively way more fun than the beer industry. And that whole thing that happened with like Bud Light last year, whenever it was like the beer industry is much more like it's spread politically, I would say. Like the spirits industry seems to me to be the most inclusive out of the three different, beer, wine, and spirits. So like, when it comes to like cocktails and spirits, like it's about as accepting and welcoming as you can get at this point right now, as far as the three, major, wine, beer, and spirits. And beer is always going to be that thing where it's like, especially cheap, shitty beer. Like, you know what? We're never going to have anyone from Bud Light on the show. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, who fucking cares about that brand anyway? But
right, lowest common denominator. The biggest pool, whatever.
When you're talking about getting flown down to Mexico to judge a competition and getting your name printed on a fucking bottle of Campari, I mean, that's like, that's everything. That's like, Like, where do you go from there? Like, you fucking
well,
hate
in theory,
it.
I think in theory, I think it's a cool opportunity, even though it came last minute. And in that regard, like I have so many more goals, and I still have so much to learn. Like even today, the way I'm kind of going in is like I've given my advice to the contestants this way is that I need you to showcase to me who you are and your experience. I don't need someone to showcase what they think is the best technique or whatever. I want to see how you think. I want to see what you have to put forward, because at the end of the day, every single brand, every single person who works for those brands wants to invest and work with the person. That is what that is what continues to build this industry. We I
always say thinking outside the glass. It's like, it's not just about the juice in the bottle or what the content that's inside the glass of the cocktail. It's like, it's the fuller, the bigger picture, right? It's the person behind it. It's the people around it.
It's important because that's what that creativity and that energy is what brings life to cocktails, to events that brands throw, to the events that I do, to our spaces. It starts on that lower level. And that's how it continues to grow. And
I think about it this way too, Michael. The first mixed drinks were punches, so it was like, yeah, sure, it was a big batch of punch in the bowl, but really what it was is the people surrounding the bowl, right, and the conversations building that were community. Had, and it was a community, exactly.
Yeah, as the herd I want to ask you coming down to the pond and to drink together, right?
Yeah, I want to ask you about a space. I want to ask you about Superbueno because, anyone who knows that space on that corner, which I luckily got to go to back in January when I was back there, a long overdue trip back to New York to go to my bar, Grand Army, and one of our bartenders works at Superbueno, and so it was like really cool to go there and see her. And yeah, exactly. And it was
here in
great to see
Mexico right
Nacho.
now. I might see her today.
Oh wow! Oh really? Yeah. That's so fucking rad.
Yeah.
I always say it's not that the world gets smaller; it's that your heart gets bigger. And so it's really
and Nacho
cool.
has the biggest fucking heart. Like literally.
Oh my god. Well, that's what I want to ask about. Like, I mean, if like I was saying, anyone who knows that space knows that, and I mean, Sother certainly knows about multiple bar ventures in one space, like upstairs, on that corner of 6th and 8th. But it was what was it first? Golden Cadillac, then it was Boilermaker. To me, like, and I don't want to like those bars were important for their time, but there was this feeling that there wasn't like necessarily, I never felt like those were gonna last. Superbueno is like that. It's not going anywhere to me. Do you feel that too? I mean, it just feels like it's the perfect fit,
I feel like I never visited Boilermaker myself. I never went to Golden Cadillac myself. And actually knowing about the people who worked through that bar, I think it's wild to see where all of them have gone to grow now. Even the space before, that was a space called Bolsa Chica, which was a Latin bar. Okay. So it's kind of a return to what was in that space prior. I walked into our bar when we were. I went in there for the first time 3 weeks before we opened, and there was still construction going on, and there were tables that were still being built, and the energy in the room. And Nacho is a very big presence, and the team he has built just naturally. I reached out to Nacho to work there because when I heard about the project, I was like, I need to be there, and it doesn't feel like we're going anywhere. I think we have so many people. We have had almost no turnover. We've kept every single original bartender. We've promoted one. We aren't going anywhere. It feels like we treat each other like people, and that's what we do with people that are in there. And the hospitality comes from a super deep, natural place, and from all of us. And I think that is what is able to create that energy for everyone to be in Superbueno. It gets hectic, it gets wild, we work hard, stress happens, but at the end of the day, we're still working on keeping the space lively, fun, and warm. And it doesn't feel like we're going anywhere, because at the end of the day, we always operate with our full heart in it to make others feel like this is somewhere they can come back at any given moment. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's like the space tried on a few different. It's like the space tried on a few different skins, and now it's got to the place where it's like, this is the skin that it's in, right?
Yeah. But also, you say welcome home, and like that to me is like, I used to go to Burning Man a lot and a bunch of different burn events, like in the South Texas, like Burning Man event, and like also, and that's the whole thing. Like, and you say hectic and crazy and fun, and it's like, but as soon as you pull up to any of those burn events, they always say welcome home, and I just had like immediate like acid flashbacks of that.
Once again, no one's surprised.
So, but once you're about to get into some crazy shit, like for a week or a long weekend, like a burn event, and someone says welcome home to you, the very first thing, then you're like, all of a sudden it just changes the entire like experience, right? From the beginning. So I love that you do that. That's great. I'm going to start using that. You've inspired me to rip you off of your greeting.
You're not ripping me off. Like it's a thing. Like it's a general thing for me. It's like when we work in this space, ideally we feel great being there too. And we make it our second away from our second home, because we spend more time there sometimes than we do in our own place. So like, and we want to be able to
you live like way uptown, right? You live like
yes,
pretty
I
far
live in
uptown,
Harlem.
right?
Yeah. I live in Harlem, like right across from the Bronx.
Yeah. You spend a lot of time getting to and from that bar. So that says a lot too, I would say, you know?
Yeah. I love being there. It's perfect. It's literally allowed me. It's the place where I felt the most comfortable. I've worked a lot of places. I've had a lot of great experiences. I've had a few not so great experiences. But at the end of the day, like, I don't even ever think about the commute ever, because I'm going to somewhere where no matter how I'm feeling or no matter what like may have happened or whatever, I'm able to go in and keep doing my thing and being given the grace to continue learning and growing with a team of people who are doing the same. That's my home, and that's where I feel safe. So I want people to have that same sense of safety and comfort wherever I am. And no, Superbueno is the rule in that regard. This is home. This is your home. Please come into your home. It's also very rooted in Latin hospitality, particularly Mexican hospitality. We invite people into our home like it is their home. Mi casa es tu casa, literal. Literally, my house is your house. So come into my home. This is your home. Enjoy yourself. Relax. Have a good time. Yeah. It's okay.
That's why you're the number 2 top 50 bar. Can't spell platinum without Latin, by the way.
No,
boom.
That's a good one.
Michael, I want to talk a little bit about your pop-up, and like describe for me, like, if I was a guest coming to this pop-up, what's happening, what's going on. You've done a few already. You've got one coming up soon. We certainly want to promote that date. And then while you're talking about that, the goal, it seems to me, is to generate some change in the industry. What is that change, and what would you like to see that change be?
So the minute you walk in, it's meant to be an immersive in a way that it's not going to be high concept, necessarily decoration. It's more energy. You come in, the music is fun, lively, Latino, very queer leaning. There can be pop, there can be reggaeton, it can be that energy. You see people talking with each other and laughing and dancing. You come to the bar, you look at the menu. It's ridiculous in the best way, but also like very thoughtful, kind of the way I operate. You're able to pull focus and have a drag queen or a drag performer perform and give you that energy that they have to share with the world and put their selves forward. You come in and are meant to feel safe, like being who you are. I'm bringing in people from other markets to do this with me when I'm there. So we're building these connections amongst the people who know who I am versus the people who know who they are and the people who know the performer, and creating these new connections in a bigger community. And there's people that are not part of the queer community that come, literally creating a safe space and creating more allies for others to come be able to make this flourish and feel like something larger. I would love to generate change and have people not be afraid of investing in any kind of queer cause ever. I think there's a lot of things happening in this world and people are very afraid in a lot of ways. And it's difficult to live in that moment. But honestly, I really want to see people be unafraid to step forward and support other people, especially the people around them, especially the people like a lot of Latino people work in the back of house. A lot of Latino people work in support roles, and to be able to show that there are people that do more than this. Is not just what they do. There's so much more talent and so much more energy and so much more life and so much more honestly comedy in so much of what we do. We need to be able to not be afraid to highlight that, and also not be afraid to give people opportunities. My ultimate goal as well is to be able to work with charities as I build out these events, and not just like do it for myself, but be able to work for others to build out funding and other things for other people to succeed and have resources. Like I eventually want to do a pop-up in LA and make it benefit No Us Without You, which is a nonprofit based out there, run by Damon Diaz, who it's focused on taking care of people. Like it started with the people in the pandemic in LA who weren't able to receive benefits and making sure they get fed, were able to take care of their families and do all of that. But now they're continuing to growing out their resources to continue those programs, but build out English as a second language programs, and doing that, be able to use that platform to support all of that. And again, change the perception of how Latino people can be viewed or pigeonholed in this industry, and kind of make that all flourish. And queer people have a louder voice, especially in a moment where that's being attacked. I have drag performers because drag is an act of fucking rebellion. Yeah. And it is like, we're gonna fucking put this out there, and you may have never seen this before, but you're gonna see it and you're gonna love it. And because this is something that is someone's art and passion and is often overlooked, like outside of like RuPaul's Drag Race, which I love, but people don't think about it. They just think of like, this is a form of entertainment that is being shown to me. Like, let's look at the people that are actually doing this here on a regular basis, not to take away from any of that, but look, like these are people, this is a whole nother thing. And that's making change in a positive way.
That's been super interesting. I've talked to a few friends of mine who are queer, some of whom are drag performers, who are kind of like, they're like, look, like I no amount of there's no silver lining to homophobia, period. They're like,
none.
But they're like, it is kind of nice that drag is like a little dangerous again. Like it's a little, like it's got its teeth back a little bit. Like, you know, there are people who are scared. It's a little bit more of a middle finger than it was, where before, like you said, it just kind of become entertainment. Like, is that kind of how you feel about it, putting on these shows?
I honestly like to think so, because there's a lot of people I've seen in my pop-ups that have never seen drag before in person. And to kind of give them that moment, they're like, they see this human, this sometimes very large human in heels and makeup and all these outfits, and they're like, whoa. And then they watch them perform and give all of this energy, and it's incredible. And for 100%, drag has always been and will continue to be an act of rebellion, even if it's in the mainstream. It is still something that is fighting against the larger zeitgeist of people and who are afraid of it, and people in this country who don't even understand it, haven't even seen it, and just have a view of like being, oh, this is a man in a dress trying to get close to children or whatever. It's fucking gross and ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Excuse my language, but I've been seeing so much of this, and I'm like, it's ridiculous. Do you not understand? Like, these are just people performing art. This is not meant to be a perversion. It's an act of rebellion. It doesn't have to be perverse. You're making it perverse. You're putting this in your mind that it is. But coming back, presenting this and kind of giving people a space, show this is an act of rebellion always.
Didn't all the Shakespearean actors, weren't they all dudes?
That dressed as a girl. DRAG dressed as a girl. That is literal theater history. It is, people often forget that. And
I mean, the founding fathers wore kitten heels and tights and wigs and makeup. You know.
I kind of want to go into that. It's very interesting because I have a friend who is a doctor who lives in Chicago who posted something, and they were talking, this person was taking drag to be this really awful thing. And they insinuated and kind of very directly said that being educated isn't education, it's indoctrination. And I'm like, this is absolutely insane. Like, you're saying for someone aspiring to higher and trying to take on more knowledge to be able to do something that can potentially help you. For example, a medical doctor is indoctrination. This is not education. You see this as you never wanted to progress past your high school education. That's completely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. There are so many people who are even in this industry who don't have beyond a high school education or don't even have that, who are crazy successful, but they continue to be educated. Seeing that education is indoctrination is what is kind of bringing us into this moment. That's really fucking scary. And saying that this is just like, oh, you're indoctrinated from even taking on this knowledge. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'll get too far, but
no. I mean, we're gonna get deep here at the end of the show, but like the thing I always come back to that I've been thinking about a lot ever since, weirdly since like August of 2015. I'm not really sure. Maybe something happened around then that prompted this thought. I don't know, but I've been thinking a lot about, like what the temptation around hating people is. And the conclusion that I've come to is that it's the insidious thing about hate is that it's easy, right? It's easy to hate something. Like you can decide that you hate something, whether it's queer people or whether it's broccoli at the age of 10, and you can hate it effortlessly for the rest of your life. You don't have to learn about it. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to examine anything about yourself or about this thing that you've just decided that you hate. You can just do it, and it's easy, and that's why, on the opposite side, loving things takes a lot of work. I mean, we all love this industry. Like how much time and effort and knowledge have we put into it? So,
right.
I think that is kind of the insidious thing, is that like ignorance is the ally of hatred,
And to bring it back to the industry, like from a place of love, I find what I'm loving to see right now is like we have people like Izzy, we have people like Erica Flowers, we have people like Nicole being nominated for Bartender of the Year, who are fucking loving people and literally demonstrate that love to everyone and in everything they do. And that is literally what is I'm hoping to continue to see this industry grow, particularly with Noche Traviesa, creating such love, because it does take work to be able to curate it, but some people don't know how to access that because of their experiences. It's very difficult. It's difficult because we're easily taught to dislike something naturally because of our body's response to something like broccoli. This tastes gross. I hate this. And that's easy. And you can default to that. But kind of having a focus on leaders and people who demonstrate and act in love and curate those spaces, I'm hopeful for a change and starting to see it in the spaces that they run, in the space I work in, where so much love it's hard. It takes work and people don't always understand it, but it makes things so much more healthy. This industry needs to be a healthier place. We spend a long time making people like within ourselves, making each other feel like we had to fight and work hard, really hard, and step on someone else together. It's like, we don't need to do it. We can literally love on each other and support one another, because there are so many different opportunities. And while this one may not come to us, this one will. And by treating someone with love when they get to where they need to be, you never know when they may have something that come to them. They can't do it. Will come to you. It just needs to be something where we're continuing to remember operating from a good place and from a place of love is what's going to make things better in every single way. It's in politics is more difficult, but at least in a community like ours, which we often tell each other, I love you when we're leaving. There are little ways to act and demonstrate that.
Yeah, of course.
Every single day.
Well, speaking of acting and demonstrating that, let's talk about your pop-up again. When and where is the next one, so we can direct some of our listeners to come and experience you live, because, seeing you here on the screen and talking to you from Mexico is one thing, but, when I see you out and about in a live situation, the last time I saw you, of course, was at the Schmucks pop-up in New York. You're indomitable when you're in the room. So where and don't be sorry. Where and when is the next? And I'm going to butcher it. Say it for me again.
Noche Traviesa.
Noche Traviesa.
Yeah.
Good, which is like nitro. Good trouble. Let's get into some good trouble.
Yeah, exactly. That is my tagline. Let's get into that good trouble, because literally, not all trouble is bad. There's the good kind of things we get into, and I feel like I pulled that summer from the 20s and 30s, the Roaring 20s, with prohibition and people going out and doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. For them, that was good trouble. That's the good kind of trouble to get into. It's kind of brought its root from that too. The next one is in Atlanta on June 17th at 8 p.m. at JoJo's Beloved. My friend Quisha is the bar manager, and I'm very excited to go and host there. And I'll be working with a few Bacardi brands for that.
Cool. You say June 17th or
June
July
17th? June 17th.
I'm gonna be there July 17th. Yeah.
The next big one is actually it's a collaboration between myself and Nacho. We're doing Noche Traviesa at Superbueno.
Oh, hell yeah.
On Pride Sunday, on New York Pride Sunday, June 30th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. I have 2 awesome guest bartenders confirmed. One gay woman and one gay man. I have a drag king that I'm working on booking, and I've confirmed a bearded queen, both Latino people for the events. We're working on having some special food. I have already begun my menu development. It's going to be a really fucking great time.
All right, so June 17 in Atlanta, which also that's Juneteenth, right? And then also
June 19th.
Oh, is it 19? You're right.
June 19th to June 19th.
Yeah, you're right. So June 17th in Atlanta. Say the name of the bar again, though.
JoJo's Beloved.
JoJo's Beloved. What neighborhood is that? I used to live in Atlanta. What neighborhood is that in? Do you know?
I don't know. Okay. I wish I could give you an answer. I can look at a map and tell you in like 2 seconds.
Right. Well, Atlanta listeners, will head on out to Noche Traviesa.
Yes,
I'll get it. And then I'll come to the one here on the 30th, right? What day of the week is that? I can put it in my calendar.
It's a Sunday,
now.
So it's Pride Sunday, New York City.
I'll be there.
The parade will finish around 6:00. But like on a business side of this, like last year's on Pride, we were very quiet at Superbueno as a whole. We had like small pops, but there is nothing that exists generally on the east side, particularly in the cocktail space. Not a lot of places are activating. Cocktail bars generally are not activating on Pride Sunday because of that. I'm like, you know what? Like, let's do it this day. I want to bring people who are our industry who will get off early because it's slow, or will be at the parade and want to come and have a good time together and be in this really fun space. It's going to be a really great time.
Well, I'm going to put it in my calendar, and I'll definitely be there. I'm usually over in that neighborhood on Sundays anyway. And Greg lives here. Maybe you can go with me.
Absolutely. Let's do it, man. And Michael, we'll put all of your socials and whatnot in the show notes too, so people can track that and come to your pop-ups. But for the meanwhile, listeners in Atlanta, listeners in New York City, check it out. We will hope to see you there. But for now, that is going to do it for us this week on The Speakeasy. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. It was awesome talking with you. Have a great time in Mexico City.
So much.
And for our listeners, if you want to see that Campari bottle that we were talking about at the top of the show, be sure to become one of our regulars on Patreon. Here, Michael is demonstrating it again. You'll be able to get access to video podcasts, bonus episodes, guest recipes, and a lot more. And for everybody else, be sure to tune in next week, because we're going to have Austa Clausen in here talking about Grotto, which is her sapphic pop-up concept. So that is going to be super cool. And one last plug, I've got another After Dark Confessions with Father Greg coming up on June 27th. So mark your calendar. End of the month. It's a busy one. I know everyone's social calendar is filling up fast, but make room. But for
now, baby.
I know. Well, hey, summer, we got to, time to get busy. But for now.
Well, speaking of that, we should also say that, Tales is coming up, and we will all of us, Michael, you'll be there, right?
I will be there as well. I'm activating, and I'm actually giving a seminar this year as well.
Oh, rad. What's your seminar, real quick?
Great.
Please. So the seminar I'm working with Xavier from Grand Marnier. We're going to be talking about how music and mixology come together to not just develop menus, but to curate spaces and can emote certain feelings, and how that all will all work together. It's a super exciting thing.
Circling back to Neglich's book, she talks about how music influences the way you taste. I mean, it's incredible.
Absolutely. That's synesthesia. Literally, we're going to be talking about that as well. It's synesthesia, something that they presented last year that I'm excited to kind of explore.
We didn't even get to talk too much about music on this episode, but Michael, we'll have to have you back on so we can do that. I mean, come on.
I would love to. I grew up with a musical background and be more than happy.
Yeah, same.
Tune in next time for Michael's next appearance here on The Speakeasy. But I guess for now, that's going to do it for us, folks. Till next time, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Salud.
So you don't charm the devil with your
The Speakeasy is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food and drink radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
Craft cocktails, From the classics to zero-proof drinks are all around us. But what if we told you that craft cocktails are actually a relatively recent addition to the culinary scene? My name is Toni Tipton-Martin, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Cook's Country at America's Test Kitchen. I want to introduce you to a podcast mini-series I'm hosting called 100 Proof, The Journey of the American Cocktail. Over 6 episodes, we'll look at how mixed drinks offer us a window into what was happening in America during the dawn of the cocktail. We'll then take you to the present day to contemplate what forces led to our modern cocktail renaissance. And along the way, we'll of course be sharing cocktail recipes with you. Subscribe to Proof from America's Test Kitchen so you won't miss the first episode. It drops on Thursday, May 23rd. Again, that's Proof, Proof, from America's Test Kitchen. Cheers.